On Kisses and Hugs Club today for singles and couples. Episode 69. Epic clash of shadows and light. The light blazed out of the darkness. The darkness couldn't put it out. John 1 verse 5, the Message translation. There was a happy family who lived in a town called Koja. Manuel worked as a civil servant, while his wife Kofo was a trader. They had a little daughter named Ahda, whom they welcomed amidst much joy and gladness. They named her Ahda, due to Manuel's education and the lifestyle he had embraced. He made up his mind to train his daughter to the highest level of education he could afford. This was contrary to the belief of his colleagues that daughters should not be educated. They believed that providing primary school education for a daughter was sufficient, and sending a daughter to secondary school was extraordinary since girls were expected to end up married and in the kitchen. Ahda showed signs of being very intelligent and smart, which further reaffirmed her father's resolve to educate her. Manuel and Kofo's joy knew no bounds when they received the news that Kofo was expecting their second child. Ahda too was overjoyed that she would finally have a sibling after so many years. Both father and daughter cared for Kofo during her pregnancy, and the day of delivery eventually arrived. With prayers and much anticipation, they eagerly awaited the birth. Their family was blessed by God with a healthy, handsome boy. They were all so happy, and Manuel was extremely joyful to have the long-awaited son. Manuel thought to himself that the birth of his son should mark a reconciliation between him and his family, especially his uncle. He had cut ties with his father's family because his father had suffered much from his family members. Manuel was the only surviving child out of 5 children, and became an orphan when he was 19 years old. Life had been tough ever since. He lived with his uncle, who treated him very badly. It seemed every evil his uncle wished upon him fell on his 4 children, all of whom turned out badly. Everything was going well for Manuel and his family, making them the envy of all his friends. When his son Ade was 5 years old, Manuel decided to visit his uncle in the village. His wife Kofo was reluctant about visiting the village, but eventually gave in to Manuel's persuasion to make the trip. They arrived at his uncle's old house with nostalgic feelings. Manuel remembered the little village he had grown up in, with its dusty roads and the familiar scent of burning firewood. The house, though worn by time, held memories of his childhood and the struggles he had endured. Kofo looked around apprehensively, holding Ade's hand tightly while Ahda clung to her father's side, her wide eyes taking in the surroundings. His uncle, though old, had a wiry strength about him, his eyes sharp and calculating. As he greeted them with forced warmth, Manuel couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that settled in his stomach. His uncle's smile never reached his eyes, and the envy in his gaze was palpable as he took in Manuel's beautiful family and their car parked outside, a stark contrast to the humble village setting. Unknown to them, his uncle harbored deep resentment and jealousy. Seeing Manuel's success only fueled his bitterness. He had suffered numerous personal losses and failures, which he irrationally blamed on Manuel's good fortune. Determined to bring misery to Manuel's family, he quickly formulated a plan. Feigning kindness, the uncle invited them into his home, offering them food and drink. As the family settled in, he excused himself, claiming he needed to tend to some urgent matters. He hurried to a nearby herbalist known for his dark arts and whispered his sinister request. The herbalist, an old man with a hunched back and piercing eyes, listened intently and nodded, handing over a small pouch of fetish substances, muttering incantations as he did so. Back at the house, Kofo sensed something was amiss. "Manuel, I don't feel right about this place. Your uncle. He seems different," she whispered, casting wary glances around the room. "Nonsense, Kofo. Manuel reassured her, though he himself couldn't ignore the nagging doubt creeping into his mind. It's just been a long time. We're family. What harm could come from this visit? Meanwhile, the uncle returned, clutching the pouch tightly in his hand. His heart pounded with a mix of fear and excitement as he approached Ade, who was playing with some old toys in the corner. Ahda, always wary and perceptive, noticed the strange look on their uncle's face and instinctively pulled her brother closer to her. "Uncle, what is that?" she asked, eyeing the pouch suspiciously. "Oh, it's nothing, child," he replied with a too wide smile. "Just some herbs to protect you from the village ailments." But Ada was not convinced. She watched closely as her uncle tried to get closer to Ade, her mind racing with thoughts of what he might be planning. When he finally managed to grab Ade, she saw him reach for the pouch and quickly rub its contents on her brother's head. "Stop it!" Ahda screamed, causing everyone to turn and look. Manuel rushed over, grabbing his son and pulling him away from the uncle. "What are you doing?" Manuel demanded, his voice shaking with anger and confusion. "Oh, just a blessing for the child," the uncle replied smoothly, but his eyes betrayed him. Kofo, feeling the tension rise, said, "I think we should leave, Manuel." But it was too late. The damage had been done. As they hurriedly packed their belongings and left the village, Ade began to show signs of illness. His skin grew pale, and his energy drained rapidly. They raced back to town, their hearts heavy with fear. Days turned into weeks as Ade's condition worsened. He was always sick, moving from one hospital to another. Different doctors diagnosed different ailments, but his sickness defied all solutions. Manuel and Kofo were at their wits' end, their once happy family now engulfed in sorrow. In their desperation, they visited various spiritualists and healers. One of them revealed the truth. "Your visit to the village was the source of this curse. Only God can lift the spell cast upon your son." They prayed, confessed God's word daily, and woke up to pray in the night. Still, Ade did not recover from the strange illness. The couple persisted in their prayers, enduring sleepless nights and fasting. They ensured they forgave all who had hurt them, knowing that harboring unforgiveness could be a loophole for the devil. They asked God for mercy and dedicated their lives to Him, promising to serve God if He preserved their lives and that of their children. Despite the continued suffering, Manuel and Kofo's faith did not waver. They sought counsel from their pastor, who encouraged them to hold on to their faith and trust in God's timing. They read scriptures that spoke of healing and deliverance, such as Isaiah 53 verse 5, "By His stripes we are healed," and Psalm 107 verse 20. He sent His word and healed them. One night, after weeks of fervent prayer, Ade had a vivid dream. In his dream, Jesus appeared to him, dressed as a doctor, with a warm and reassuring presence. Jesus gently treated him, bringing out all his intestines and replacing them with new ones. Ade felt no pain, only a sense of peace and renewal. When he woke up, he was completely healed. He excitedly narrated his dream to his parents, who were overjoyed and fell to their knees in gratitude, praising God for His miraculous intervention. Later that day, as they basked in the miracle of Ade's healing, news arrived that their uncle had died. The messenger recounted how the uncle had clutched his stomach, screaming that there was fire in his belly before he succumbed to his mysterious ailment. Manuel and Kofo knew then that God had fought for them and delivered them from the curse that had been placed upon their family. The once happy family, though scarred by their experiences, began to rebuild their lives. Ahda's education, which had been severely affected, resumed with vigor. She transferred back to a private school and excelled in her studies. The family's finances started to stabilize as Manuel's pension and Kofo's renewed trading efforts bore fruit. Ada struggled through university, doing several odd jobs and selling all sorts of things. She deferred her admission and ended up spending 6 years on a 4-year course. God smiled on her when a scholarship opportunity appeared, and she applied and was granted the scholarship. She qualified for an examination for sponsorship. She and her father were overjoyed at the news. The opportunity opened up for her to travel with one dependent, and her father traveled with her. She became outstanding and went on to win one scholarship after another. She and her father started a company abroad and eventually became very successful. She later found God, who granted her grace. She married a fine young American, and their latter end was more beautiful. What the enemy meant for evil, God turned around for good. Through their trials and tribulations, Manuel's family learned the power of faith and resilience. They emerged stronger and more united, with a deep sense of gratitude for the blessings they had received. Their story became an inspiration to many, a testament to the transformative power of prayer and dedication to God. Lessons from Manuel's story. 1. Faith in adversity. Their story teaches the importance of holding on to faith, even when circumstances seem dire. 2. Power of prayer. Consistent, fervent prayer can bring about miraculous changes and divine intervention. 3. Forgiveness. This emphasizes the importance of forgiveness in maintaining spiritual health and receiving blessings. 4. Family unity and oneness. Their close-knit bond and collective efforts in prayer and care exemplify the strength found in family unity. 5. Resilience. Despite numerous setbacks, they persisted, showing that resilience can lead to eventual victory. 6. Impact of spiritual leadership. Seeking counsel from their pastor and following spiritual guidance was pivotal in their journey, emphasizing the value of spiritual leadership and mentorship. 7. God's protection and deliverance. The eventual downfall of their uncle, who planned evil against them, reinforces the belief that God protects and delivers his people from their enemies. This story was conceived by Pastor Sophia Okunowo and developed by Pastor Dunamis Okunowo, your favorite relationship and marriage counselors and therapists. Don't keep this life-changing story to yourself. Share it with your friends, family, and social networks. Let's spread the love and build a community of thriving relationships.
Do you want more? Read the full blog by clicking on the link in bio or description to navigate to the devotionals, or go to www.khcpartners.org. Watch full video on youtube.com/@PastorDunamis. For one-on-one therapy, counseling, or an intervention in your marriage or relationship, go to bit.ly/therapy needed. To get courses for singles and couples, go to bit.ly/course. To partner with us, go to www.khcpartners.org/give.